If you right now visit GNU.org, you will see this banner up here for their fundraising campaign for the current winter. And the goal is $400,000. And if you visit FSF.org, you will see the same thing in a pop-up. And I kind of want to talk about this because right now they have already raised $25,000, which is a bit more than 6% of the goal. And I mean, we'll see how much they raise, but I kind of want to think about this, or the way I think about it is that money in this case is really not the problem. In the free software case, you could say, or really in any case that has to do with activism, which I would consider free software to very much fall into that category of activism. And what I mean by this, that money is not the problem, because you might think, well, of course money is kind of the problem. I mean, you need people to work, you want to pay them like professionally, and otherwise you only get like, people can only work on in their free time on free software projects and whatnot. But again, I think this aspect of money misses the point. And I've seen this in other organizations as well, other activistic organizations, and in my mind, or in the way I think about it, is really a sign of decay and a sign of, well, kind of, I mean, I would even go as far to like drastically call it like end times. Because in a active organization where people are motivated and where people have like an inner drive to work for the thing, or for the goal, or like they are true believers of whatever it is the group is working towards, you don't have to pay anyone because, well, they are motivated, like they have an inner motivation. And I also think that is the best and really the only way to work for some like activistic goal, you could say, like for example the goals of the Free Software Foundation, or also the GNU project. And if we look at the history of the GNU project, or also the FSF, I think this is very apparent. And like with everything, I mean, yeah. So having money as a motivation is a pretty bad motivation, I would say, because with money you kind of come into this flow of, well, you're doing it for money. You're not doing it for like the goal or whatever. You're doing it for money, and yeah, I think this is kind of hurtful to the organization itself. But again, this is kind of a downward spiral. So if you come to the point where you need money in your organization, you are already kind of, on this downward path, I would say. So this is like one thought I have. And again, but let's think about this in more practical terms relating to free software. So if we think about money, what can money buy? Money can buy resources, money can buy people who, like, time of people, so paying people and stuff like that. But what it can't really buy is like innovation. So for example, one example from my own life is with GNU Geeks. So I've tried GNU Geeks out in the past multiple times, and I didn't really stick with it because it kind of, so one example I have in mind is I even tried it out on, I think, this laptop, on another one of mine. I don't remember. But the reason I didn't stick with it, or one of the reasons, was that updating the system, like updating the packages, just took forever. Like it would just, like, I would sit there and it would tell me, okay, updating, and it just wouldn't do anything. Of course it would do something in the background, but it wouldn't give any feedback. It wouldn't like give me an estimate like when it's finished and stuff like that. It just didn't, it didn't do that. And you would say, well, I mean, yeah, so if you think about it, that's not a thing that money can fix. Like, sorry, you can pay, of course, someone to look at the problem and write a report and then try to implement a software solution, blah, blah, blah. But what you really need is someone who's motivated, like who has an inner drive. Okay, I'm going to fix this thing. So however long it takes, whatever, like however much effort it takes, I'm going to fix it. And really, if you try to solve this problem with money, you will, like, it will be very, like, kind of weird. So, yeah, I mean, I hope you kind of catch my drift with the whole money thing. And I think money itself is like, you kind of need to think about it more in like a wider aspect, this is just one logical conclusion, like in relation to like the GNU project and the FSF and like fundraising and whatnot, just a logical conclusion from like, from like higher order principles, you could say. Well, it kind of sounds a bit like, I don't know, big brained, but I don't mean it in that way. But okay, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much all I think about this. And I mean, I won't donate. I haven't donated to, well, anything really ever, because again, I think this is the wrong way to approach stuff like this. Resources are almost never the problem with something that's about principles. And again, if I look at the GNU Geeks example in my own life, like I wouldn't have cared if there weren't, like, of course, like pre-built packages and pre-built binaries are nice and are maybe needed to run a operating system, and I don't want to have to compile like the Linux kernel on my ThinkPad X200. Of course, sure. And you need kind of resources for that. Okay, yeah, of course. But you don't need many resources because servers are cheap. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't care if there's like every package on the planet available as a pre-built binary. Like, I don't care. I mean, the most important ones you need as pre-built binaries, sure. But the other ones, like, it's fine. And if the process to like package something yourself is easy, I mean, most people are just going to do it themselves if there's good documentation and stuff like that. And you don't really need money for that. If you have true believers, you could call them. So yeah, so I think I'm kind of repeating myself. So that's it. Have a nice day.